In this video, I'm going to be taking you guys through the easiest way to backtest your forex strategy, and I'm going to be showing you a live example of how I would do this personally using FX replay on USDJPY. So let's get straight into the backtesting. I'll take you guys through the system we'll be testing first, and then we'll get into the backtesting. Alright guys, so the first thing you want to always do when you are backtesting a strategy is make sure that you go ahead and lay out some very clear and concise rules so that when it comes to actually performing and executing this strategy on a live market, you are always very sure as to whether you are meant to take a trade or whether you're not meant to take a trade, by knowing what complements are there, and if they are there, obviously then executing on that trade. So if first of all we go through a few of the rules that we are going to be backtesting today. We can ignore this bit. This is just from what I was backtesting previously. I was backtesting data from August the 1st, 2021. So first of all, we're going to be identifying the overall market structure and trend. So this involves sort of like finding where the mitigations are, where the areas of supply and demand are, where the liquidity is, and also, you know, just what sort of trend the market is in. Is it consolidating? Is it in an uptrend or is it in a downtrend? And I'm going to be doing this mainly on the 4-hour to identify the higher time frame overall market direction. And then we're going to be breaking this down to the lower time frames, which is step 2, the lower time frame entry model, which involves a sweep of liquidity, change of character, and then we want to see an imbalanced area of supply or demand. And we also want to see liquidity being engineered above that area in order to get a high probability entry on the particular trade that we're looking at. And this bit means basically that, let's say we have multiple areas of imbalanced supply and demand after the lower time frame entry model has sort of materialized. We want to be looking on if price comes back into these areas, and if we're unsure which area to go off, we look to the lower time frames and we basically look for the same thing but even lower. So for example, on the 15-minute, if price comes into our POI, we then go down to the 5-minute and look for this same lower time frame entry model. As for targeting liquidity or levels of supply and demand, minimum 1-to-3 risk to reward ratio, no break even. So yeah, that is basically all of the rules that I'm going to be backtesting today. As I said before, they don't have to be overly complicated. Just make sure they are very clear and concise so that you know exactly what you are looking for and you're not just taking random trades that don't really fit the plan. So let's get straight into it now. I'm going to be using a software called FX Replay. If you guys have seen any of the backtesting videos previously, you'll know that FX Replay is a software where you basically can play the candles live. So it will be a bit like TradingView bar replay, but the only exception is it will collect all of the data for you. It will show you the monthly returns, what times of day you're most profitable, pretty much any statistic you would want about the strategy. This software will record it for you. And the other great part about FX Replay, as opposed to TradingView bar replay, is that you cannot cheat because you cannot go back in time. Let's say you miss a trade on TradingView, you can simply rewind and go back to that previous price action. But on FX Replay, you can only play the bars forward, so you can't cheat. So if we go ahead and start at around August 2021, obviously we're not going to be able to backtest all of this data during this short video. However, I would recommend at least backtesting 2 years at a minimum, probably even more if you want to be a little bit more diligent with the backtesting. Name, you can choose whatever to put there. So if we do that, click play, and then it basically loads up this screen. Very similar, almost identical, well, in fact is identical to TradingView. So yeah, let's start the backtesting. So first thing I always do, like I mentioned in the rule system, is to identify overall market structure, the substructure, and also the sort of higher time frame macro trend. So in this case, quite obviously on the daily time frame, we are still bullish. We've had this daily break of structure just here. So that is our main daily trend. We've got this higher low, this higher high, so we can anticipate that a higher low is likely to form, and then we will be looking for buys longer term. So one level that interests me at the moment is we have this daily level of imbalanced demand below this area of liquidity, and we also induced it with this wick. Just here, price never actually came back and retested it. So the overall outlook at the moment would be for price to come into this sort of level and then make its move up to this previous high. If we go over to the 4 hour, we can see that at the moment, the 4 hour time frame is still bearish. We've printed lower low, lower high, lower low, came up, respected this area of supply. And now internally, following this trend, we have started to shift bearish as well. So what I think we can look for now is we can look for sells down to this previous low to bring us towards that daily area of demand that we highlighted. And to do that, we are going to mark on, or what I like to do is mark on the lower time frame structure and also where the mitigations are happening. And what I mean by that is basically where is price pulling back to before it makes its next move. So in this case, we had this big down move, price pulls back, mitigates the area of supply, which initiated this sell-off. We create the new low, pull back into this previous level of imbalanced supply, mitigates it, continues over to the downside. So if we look at this internal trend, after price mitigated the area of supply, we had this internal change of character. So we went from printing higher lows and higher highs to a lower low, pulled back, lower high. So that would also be a further break of the structure. Going down once again to the 1 hour. What we can see now, going lower once again actually, we can see that price has pulled back, tapped in and reacted from this area of supply, which was at a premium of this current leg of the trend. And then for the entry time frame, I like to use either the 15 or the 5. You can also refine this to this 15-minute level. The reason I like this supply, by the way, is because it swept all of this liquidity to the left, was imbalanced, and we had this liquidity below it as well. We've now had a confirmation as well. We had a break of this low. That's our change of character on the lower time frames. So on the 15-minute now, we have a potential entry. We could look to enter from this 30-minute level if price pulls back. So we can just set a limit on there, stops above the high, and then bringing that down to our daily level that we mentioned previously. And the thing about FX replay is you can simply just click here, place order, risking 1% of the account balance. It fills in all of these details for you. You just click save, and there you have it. You have a pending order that got tagged in. See what happens. Nice reaction so far. And there we go. First trade, TP hit. If we just rewind and see. So the actual, we could have got a better entry if we would have entered on this area. As you can see, we also got like what I mentioned before in the plan was the fractal confirmation. This is exactly what I mean. So we had higher time frame POI. We had our initial confirmation when price broke this low. We pull back into this area, but the fractal confirmation is when we have higher low, higher high. We break that low, forming a lower low, but we didn't break this overall higher time frame low. We pull back, mitigate this area of supply, and this would have been our fractal confirmation, selling back down to that previous low. So that's how we could have got a more refined entry on that position. But now we can delete all of this because our bias is bullish. Remember, we have tapped into our daily level of demand. So now we are just waiting simply for the lower time frames to flip back bullish so that all of the time frames align with that bullish bias that we have. At the moment, we are clearly, if we were to buy right here, we would be buying against the trend and trying to catch a falling knife, which we don't want to do. We want to wait for price to flip back bullish and then just look to get in on a pullback. So if we play price and see what happens. There we go. That is exactly what we wanted to see. We've had a sweep of these early buyers. We then get that change of character because we've done a lower low, lower high, lower low. Now price has formed a higher high. So what we'll be looking for is a retest of this area of demand. If price wants to pull back. So as for a target at the moment, we have this area of liquidity, which was, you know, this was like the sort of higher low within the overall higher time frame trend. So this is a major area of liquidity where we can look to target. For now though, it doesn't look like price wants to pull back all the way to here. So we can just look to, if another sort of area materializes, which it didn't. Right, so now we've taken this liquidity, we've had change of character. Obviously overall, we are still maintaining that bullish bias. We have broken out of this main structure here, so we can identify that as a 4-hour change of character. So what we can anticipate now is for price to pull back into our discounted level of demand, which was at the bottom of this range. We have this imbalance, we have a sweep of liquidity. So this is a valid level where we can just set a limit on, targeting the daily high. But what we can also do is look for potential sell positions back down to this previous level. As I mentioned before, we've had a sweep of this liquidity. So if we go on the 15-minute and look to follow the 15, we've had this very impulsive move down, breaking past multiple levels of structure. We've left behind this unmitigated 15-minute supply, and that is where I'm going to be setting the limit. Stops above the high, and we will have a safe target at this previous low. Let's see if price can pull back. It might not pull back. Let's see. If we play this on the higher time frame. Yeah, so price isn't pulling back there now. We still have this bearish order flow though, so we could still look for sells if price gives an entry, or I may just want to go, yeah, it went straight to the entry, so sells are now invalid. So as I said before, we can also look for the fractal confirmation. So at this point, we've had our main confirmation entry on the higher time frame when we had a sweep of liquidity followed by a break of this main structure. But what we can do now is go down to the lower time frames and look for a potential confirmation on the lower time frames to add to that initial position. So if we see what happens, there we go. So we've had this area broken. That was our change of character. We also had a sweep of this sort of liquidity. Not really seeing any entries though at the moment. Yeah, so don't think we're going to get an entry on that one. Price is just flying. We could potentially see a retracement to this 4-hour level. And this is valid because we've had, within this internal trend of lower lows and lower highs, we've had a breach of this lower high. So that would be our change of character. We also have imbalance down here where I think price may gravitate back towards. So let's see if that happens. Let's see. There we go. Tap into it. It was more of like a tap and go though. We didn't get an entry. Let's see what happens now. Let's play this 4-hour. Price may want to test that blue level once again. Let's see. There we go. The reason I said that was because we had this tap which barely came into the level. So a lot of the times when you see this, this is inducement, price comes back, liquidates this area, and then let's see if we get an entry. Okay, so at the moment, I'm seeing actually a potentially very nice entry. We have this 15-minute demand. We've had lower time frame break of structure. So all we want to see now is liquidity being engineered above this level to make it valid. Let's see. There we go. Just like that. Price induced it. Now we set the limit. Can have a very tight SL on this one. Just below. Since it swept liquidity, we shouldn't see this level broken. If our analysis is correct, that is. And for this, I'm going to be targeting this current high. Let's see if that gets tagged in. Place the order. Oh, missed at the moment. Let's see if it comes back. And by the way, this trade would still be valid for me unless we see the take profit hit, and in which case I would delete the limit. But at the moment, the limit is still valid. There we go, it tagged in. Almost hit the stop loss. I think we maintained the demand though. Yeah, as you can see, we still didn't close below the area of demand, so it's still valid. See what price does now. There we go. Lovely trade, that one. And obviously we are still in our 4H swing trade. up to the previous daily high. Let's see if price gives us another entry. No, we just got a price flew straight to the TP. So that was a nice 1 to 4.5 on top of that. Second entry we got. So if we delete all of this now. And there we have another daily breaker structure to continue the overall uptrend. So if we highlight that, daily breaker structure. And what I like to do is when we have mitigations of the demand, I like to keep these boxes on the chart just to remind me of where the sort of key points in the trend are. So for this to remain bullish, since we've had a pullback, mitigation of this demand, and then a breaker structure, we don't really want to see price break below this area of demand. Otherwise, we would consider that a switch in trend from bullish to bearish. And now we can simply look to keep following this trend if we get some pullbacks. Let's see if that happens. So let's see, we have two levels that interested me at the moment. We have this 4-hour demand, and on the 1H we also have this sort of area of liquidity above as well. So if we look at these two levels and see if we can get a reaction at one of them, this one we can refine to this. The reason this one's valid is because it swept this low to the left, created imbalance, and broke the structure. Based on the 15-minute, actually, I don't like this one below, since, yeah, for my rules that validate supply and demand, it doesn't have all the confluences. So let's see how this one reacts here. Notice how, like I mentioned before with the fractal structure, on the higher time frame we are bullish, but on the 15-minute we are clearly in this downtrend. So all we're doing is waiting for price to come to a higher time frame level of significance, in this case higher time frame demand, and then we're just waiting to see if the lower time frames align once again with the higher time frame, in which case you will see a sort of the next move in the uptrend. So let's see. Level hasn't been tapped yet. There we go. Let's see. This is the most recent lower high that we want to see broken. So let's see if that happens. There we go. This wouldn't have been valid, by the way. I want to see a closure above, not a wick above. So we've had that. That's our change of character on the 15-minute. We can change the color of this now because it's mitigated. And as for potential entries, we have this imbalance. We have this area of demand. And we have this sort of higher low liquidity resting above. So we can set a limit at this level and see if price can come back and tag us in. SL just below the demand, targeting previous high. Place the order. There we go. See if it can pull back. Might also react from this area. Let's go and have a look. Okay, so that one failed. Hopefully price can pull back now to our level. And we also have this. Personally, that one wouldn't be valid for me though, so let's just wait and see. Yeah, okay. So we can delete this now because price has not come back to our level. We've mitigated this. Broke structure once again. Just here. Following this internal trend within the overall higher time frame uptrend. And we probably could have got an entry on that one. There's quite a nice confirmation actually. We reacted from here, broke structure, liquidity, imbalanced area of demand, that swept liquidity. So that would have actually been quite a nice entry. Just wasn't paying attention. Let's see if price can pull back. We could see it come into this sort of region. Oh. Yeah, the thing is with UJ, sometimes it does stuff like this where it'll just come into the area, fly, and then not give you a reaction or a confirmation, sorry. And yeah, that would have been take profit hit. The most recent high of the trend was hit. So we can delete all of this now. We have price pull back, mitigate this area, and then we broke the structure once again. Another thing UJ likes to do is a lot of the times you'll see it just run off like this and it won't really pull back to give you an entry. Okay, so that would have been another break. We have this hourly demand where we can look if we go to the lower time frame. Let's see what happens within this region. We will change the color of it. Okay, did price come to this level? No, so I think this may just be inducement since price never actually came to the level. Let's have a look. There we go. So the inducement was taken out. Let's see if price can now give us that reaction. We also swept the last liquidity within the range, which was this. Last liquidity in the range, I mean, like from this low to this high, these people here were the last, or sorry, the earliest people buying within the range. So price pulls back, takes them out, and then after you see this, price will normally continue its uptrend. And once it does this, it will normally give a nice confirmation as well, like this. We have lower high, sorry, lower low, lower high, lower low, break of that structure just there. And we also left behind this area of demand where we can look to enter. We also have the liquidity above. So this would be a valid entry, and we can target previous high. Place the order. Let's see what happens. Is it gonna pull back? There we go, tagged in. Let's play this on the higher time frame. Oh, there we go. Stop loss hit on that one. See what happens next. I think price just wanted to take a little bit more liquidity. We've had this wick was swept. We've then had the change of character again, and we've left this discounted area of demand where we can look to get in the trade, target the high once again. And if we place that order, see if it tags us in. There we go. Let's see if there we go. Take profit hit on that. 6.84%. So yeah, in order to not make this video too long, because it's probably already about 30 minutes long, I'm going to end the backtesting here. Obviously, if you guys were doing this yourself, you'd want to collect a lot more data than this. I think I only did probably like 5 or 6 trades. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.